Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something pretty exciting actually. This quiet revolution happening in what people are calling Space Race 2.0. Forget the old Cold War stuff. This new phase is, well, it's all about commercial innovation, private companies jumping in, and these dynamic international partnerships. And here's where it gets really interesting. India isn't just playing along, it's becoming a real front runner, fast.
Yeah, India's shifting gears, moving from a space program largely run by the government to a really powerful, agile player in the global commercial space scene. So our mission today, using the sources you've given us, is to unpack how exactly this amazing transformation is unfolding and crucially what it means for the future, not just for India, but for everyone globally. So let's get into it. For years, decades even, if you thought about India in space, it was basically one name, ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization. They were pretty much the sole force behind India's space journey, building everything up.
And ISRO is still doing absolutely vital work, no question. But
Okay.
2023, that year really felt like a turning point. We saw these major joint missions like NISAR, that's a big one with NASA.
Right.
And even complex experiments like docking satellites launched on the PSLV. These weren't just tick demos. They were clear signals that India intended to open the whole sector up beyond just ISR.
It's pretty incredible, though, because
Yeah.
while ISRO was doing its thing, you had these few private companies starting to pop up,
Yeah.
almost under the radar back in the early 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
Dhruva Space in 2012, Bellatrix in 2015, Agnicool in 17, Skyroot 18, Pixxel 19, just a handful.
Yeah.
But from that small start, the whole thing has just exploded.
Mm-hmm.
By mid-2024, India's got over 400 space firms, 229 startups. I mean, that is just an astonishing jump in, what, a decade? What does that tell us, that kind of speed?
Yeah, the scale is genuinely astounding. It really signifies a complete reimagining of India's space ecosystem. We're seeing this decisive shift, moving away from that centralized government-led model towards something much more dynamic, entrepreneurial, and this is key, globally competitive. That kind of rapid growth, it's a huge vote of confidence, isn't it? Pulling in investment, both domestic and international, creating this buzz.
And it's not just the number of companies, it's the economic weight. In 2022, the sector was already worth about $8.4 billion US dollars, which maybe surprisingly was around 2% of the entire global space economy then.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating now are the projections. Analysts are aiming high, a five-fold increase, something like $44 billion US dollars by 2033.
Wow.
And even an aspirational target way out there of $100 billion by 2040. But look, this massive growth isn't guaranteed, right? It's very much contingent. It depends on really leveraging private companies, expanding things like satellite communications, Earth observation, and also successfully getting into newer fields, space mining, maybe even space tourism down the line.
So, okay, let's say India gets close to these huge numbers, 44 billion, maybe even 100 billion. What does that do to the global economic picture? How big are those ripples?
Oh, they're substantial. Very substantial. Think about it. A $100 billion Indian space economy by 2040. That could make India a truly dominant player. It could shift global supply chains. It would definitely create new ways for countries to partner up in space, an industry that used to be controlled by just a few big names. It means more diversity in the market, probably more competition, and maybe, just maybe, driving down costs for space services for everyone.
Like cheaper satellite internet or Earth data.
Exactly, that kind of thing.
Now, this amazing growth, it's not just happening by chance. It's underpinned by some really crucial policy moves. We should talk about things like the Space Activities Policy of 2023.
Yes, absolutely. And a really key part of that policy was setting up inspace. That's the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. Basically, it acts as a single point of contact, a one-stop shop for regulation. It's specifically designed to, cut the red tape and really encourage private companies to get involved.
So it's an enabler.
Very much so. It's the government saying, we want you in this game.
And they're putting money behind it too, right? There's tangible support. Like
Yeah.
that venture capital fund, the 1,000 crore one, about 119 million US dollars under inspace, just for early stage startups.
Correct. And it's not only the central government stepping up, you're seeing state governments getting heavily involved too. States like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Gujarat. They're actively setting up space parks, manufacturing hubs, creating their own policies to attract high-tech investment.
Like Karnataka's deal.
Yeah, Karnataka signed an MOU with ISPace recently. They're planning a dedicated space tech manufacturing park, a center of excellence. So you have this layered approach to national policies, state incentives. It creates a really strong environment for growth.
That sounds like a solid foundation. But let's be real for a second. What are the potential roadblocks here? I mean, scaling up something this big, this fast,
They must be hurdles, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's a very important point. The policies look good on paper, but implementation is always the challenge. Ensuring things are consistent across different levels of government, for example, that's tricky. Plus, there's fierce global competition, competing for talent, for investment, and making sure India has enough highly skilled people coming through the pipeline continuously. That needs constant focus. So, yes, the framework's strong, but how well it's executed day to day will be absolutely critical.
Okay, so let's shift focus now to the companies themselves. The innovators actually doing the work on the ground. These are the real game changers mentioned in our sources, pushing the envelope. Let's start with Skyroot Aerospace. They made headlines back in November 2022. Their Vikram-S launched the first suborbital flight ever by a private Indian rocket. Reached almost 90 kilometers up.
Yeah, 89.5 kilometers, very close to that Kármán line, the sort of unofficial edge of space. And the big deal about Vikram-S wasn't just that it was private, it proved a whole new way of developing rockets quickly in India. Sort of like agile software development, but for rockets. Faster, more frequent launches.
Right.
It showed India could offer quick, cost-effective space access, which is exactly what the growing commercial market wants.
And they're not resting on their laurels, are they? They're working on Vikram-3 bigger rockets, plus that big expansion in Telangana, the 500 crore investment announced for early 2025.
Exactly. They're scaling up.
Okay, then you have Agnikul Cosmos. Their big innovation is a fully 3D printed engine, the Agni. Now, that sounds incredibly futuristic. What does fully 3D printed actually mean in practice? For speed, for cost?
It really is a game changer. Think about it. Instead of making dozens, maybe hundreds of intricate parts and then painstakingly assembling them, you just print the engine, often as a single complex piece. It drastically cuts assembly time, slashes costs, and reduces the number of potential points where something could fail. It allows for amazing customization and just radically shortens how long it takes to develop and build an engine. It's revolutionary, honestly. And Agnikul also developed Dhanush, that mobile launch pad. That's huge for flexibility.
Meaning they can launch from more places?
Exactly. Launch small satellites from different locations, respond quicker to what customers need. Big advantage.
Okay, another name, Dhruva Space. They've got a big manufacturing facility in Hyderabad, and they're getting ready to launch their first commercial satellite, LEAP-1. That's going up on a SpaceX Falcon 9 Q3 2025. They also started their AstroView imagery service late last year.
Dhruva's moves are really significant, too. They're building capabilities across the whole chain. They make their own small satellites, and they offer the data services from them.
Yeah.
And launching on a Falcon 9, that's the workhorse of the global commercial launch market. It basically announces Dhruva's arrival on the international stage, ready for business worldwide.
And finally, Pixxel. Their ambition is huge, building a whole constellation of hyperspectral imaging satellites. They've raised serious money too, nearly $95 million US, one of India's best-funded space startups. So for listeners, what exactly is hyperspectral imaging? Why is that such a big deal?
Okay, think of it like a super camera in space. It sees way more than just the visible light our eyes see. It captures data across hundreds of different light bands, very narrow bands. This lets us see things, identify materials, detect conditions that regular cameras just completely miss.
Like what?
Like monitoring crop health with incredible precision, pinpointing mineral deposits from orbit, tracking environmental issues like oil spills or deforestation much more accurately, or even analyzing things like urban heat islands in cities. The level of detail is amazing. It's basically a goldmine of data for all sorts of industries. So what's really compelling when you step back is seeing how all these individual innovations, from Skyroot's launches, Agnikul's engines, Dhruva's satellites and services, Pixxel's advanced imaging, how they all fit together. Each company is filling a vital piece of the puzzle. Launch vehicles, satellite parts, advanced sensors, data services. It's creating this really complete, robust ecosystem that can actually compete on the world stage.
So let's connect the dots. How do India's ambitions tie into global trends? And maybe more importantly, why should this matter directly to you listening right now?
Well, just look at the numbers. That satellite communication market, projected to hit nearly $15 billion by 2033. And Earth observation, like what Pixxel does, expected to chip in another $8 billion or so. Right. And these aren't just abstract numbers. These services are fundamentally changing critical sectors everywhere. Imagine a farmer in a really remote village in India suddenly getting access to real-time weather updates, detailed soil analysis from space, even up-to-the-minute market prices for their crops, all via satellite internet. That's the kind of direct, tangible impact we're talking about. Improving lives, creating economic opportunities. And if you look at the bigger picture, like enabling services such as Starlink over India, that just opens up massive potential for digital inclusion, bridging that gap between connected cities and less connected rural areas in ways traditional cables just can't.
Yeah, it really reshapes what's possible, potentially in your own life or community, depending on where you are and what you do. So as this space race 2.0 picks up speed, India seems to be forging its own path. It's quite unique. You've got this powerful mix. ISRO's proven ability for cost-effective, high-profile missions, think Chandrayaan-3, Gaganyaan, Nisar, combined with the sheer speed and agility of these new private companies.
It's a potent combination, and the implications are pretty far-reaching. We're talking potentially tens of thousands of new jobs created, a growing potential for India to export space technology and services globally, and definitely deeper collaborations with other space nations. Which really raises a big question, doesn't it? With this unique public-private blend, India seems really well-placed, not just to be a major player, but maybe even a leader in this new commercial space era.
Definitely something to think about. So here's a final thought for you to mull over. How will India's growing commercial space power continue to change things? Not just how satellites get built and launched, but also India's own economic future, its strategic position, and, by extension, the entire global landscape, something to keep an eye on.